Welcome to the Lake Erie Appellation, a lovely stretch of land near Sandusky, Ohio, nestled among the waters of Lake Erie. Believe it or not, winemakers in this part of the state grow not only French-American hybrids and Native American grapes, like the ones we see in Indiana, they also grow vinifera grapes. And those are the varieties of grapes which most people are familiar with. Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon, species of grapes that most people also think are only grown in California or France, and most times they are, but not here. We decided to see for ourselves the success which Firelands Winery is having with these grapes. So Don and I joined winemaker Claudio Salvador and some others from the winery for a tour of the vineyards, which are located on North Bass Island in the middle of Lake Erie.
We had a quick and very peaceful boat ride up here to this beautiful island. Where are we, Don? Tell me about this place.
This particular island is North Bass Island, but it actually was known as another name earlier as St. George Island. It was actually named that because back many years ago, probably about 100 years ago, there was a hermit that lived on this island named George. And he was the only person that lived on the whole island for years. And so because that became known as St. George's Island, of course, later on they renamed it North Bass Island.
It's also a great place to grow grapes.
Because the island's in the middle of Lake Erie, the water of the lakes moderate the temperatures on the island, allows them to get a longer growing season. They have a little more hang time for the grapes, so they can actually get them to ripeness, which allows them to grow some of the varietals you've seen today, some of the Cabernet and the Chardonnay and the Pinot Noir and the Pinot Grigio and the other grapes that they grow here. It's a wonderful area, and that's why there was so much grape production in this particular area.
The Lake Erie waters create a unique microclimate on the island. Workers must bury the vines in the winter to protect them from the cold, but there is no frost in the spring. These conditions and well-drained soil make grape growing ideal.
At the present time, we have about almost 80 acres of vinifera on the island. We wanted to do more. I mean, we have the Riesling, as I said, the Gewürztraminer, the Cabernet Sauvignon, the Cabernet Franc, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir. We do have a little Merlot that we are experimenting right now, but we are looking into experiment with different variety, and one variety right now that it's in our mind that we don't know yet, we haven't researched well yet. It's Malbec. Malbec is a grape that is very well known in South America. Mm-hmm. It's known in France. It's very cold. It's cold resistance, so it will be able to grow up here. But we are researching it right now. What kind of wine there is? There is some Malbec out there as Malbec wine, but the majority of this wine has been blended in with some. But that can probably be something for us to look, maybe to smooth the edges of our Cabernet Sauvignon.
Claudio is also having great success with the Pinot Gris or Pinot Grigio grape.
We decided to call it a Pinot Grigio because we thought the Italian did a better job marketing this particular variety than the French did. But our style of Pinot Grigio is much more closer to an Oregon style Pinot Grigio, which is more heavier, there's much more depth in the wine, more bouquet.
A lot more layers to
That's
it.
right, a little bit more structure to it than the Italian Pinot Grigio.
The most abundant grape varietal on the island is Riesling, which Claudio makes into an off-dry still wine and a unique sparkling wine, fresh, fruity, and one of a kind.
We decided to do an experiment about 12 years ago. We did a 300 bottle trial of sparkling Riesling, Champenois, Méthode Champenois. And we had the wine writer of the Toledo Blade and the wine writer of the Cleveland Plain Dealer taste these wines, and they were really impressed with the wine. So why not? I said, let's go ahead and do it, and we start doing a commercial production of that, and that is probably one of the most popular sparkling wine that we produce. We do also a brut style, which is almost like a French champagne. with the typical grapes that they are using in the French Champagne, like a Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and some Pinot Gris or even some Pinot Blanc.
Claudio was born and raised in Italy, where he also studied winemaking and worked for the country's largest producer, Zonin, for a number of years before coming to the U.S. I thoroughly enjoyed my walk and talk through the vineyard with Claudio. He's a man of remarkable insight and talent when it comes to both producing wine and enjoying life. He's also a winemaker who, because of his accomplishments, could easily have a huge ego and put that before his calling, but he doesn't. Instead, when asked how he produces such lovely wines, he gives the credit back to Mother Nature.
Wines are like kids. Everything, every single year is different. So my job is almost like raising a kid. That's what it is. And so, I have to be very careful what I'm doing, and I have to take every single season like the born of a new child. You gotta really follow in a different ways. So winemaking, and believe it or not, with all our expertise, all our technical studies, all our chemistry and all that, Mother Nature every day teaches new tricks to us, to winemakers.
One could learn a lot of new tricks visiting this area, and not just about wine. There are plenty of places to explore, each more beautiful than the last.
It's kind of a well-kept secret, I guess you could say.
It is kind of a well-kept secret, and it really is a, well, first of all, this is basically a sports fisherman's paradise. A lot of walleye fishing and perch fishing actually happens out of Port Clinton and the surrounding islands, and it's very well known for that all over the world, so a lot of people come here to fish. But it's the many islands, they have bed and breakfasts and wonderful little restaurants, and you can, to get to the islands, you have to take a ferry.
One of the more popular islands is South Bass, home of Put-in Bay, a sort of Key West North, if you will.
At one time, it had the Grand Hotel. At its height, around the turn of the century, it was the largest hotel in the country. And it was a major attraction, has a very rich history, but it burnt down in 1920. So the hotel no longer exists, but the island itself is still a mecca for tourists.
Our visit took place midweek, so the crowds were not as large, but they were still in search of the same thing: pleasure. Something that Put-in Bay provides with ease, thanks to an abundance of restaurants, bars, shops, and other boaters. After a day in the vineyards and the waters, we were ready for some relaxation. So we headed to Mon Ami Winery and Restaurant. Built in 1872, this lovely dining spot serves up a number of Lake Erie specialties, including walleye, perch, and Don's favorite, sauerkraut balls. It's a deep-fried appetizer filled with corned beef and sauerkraut. Along with dinner, we sampled some of the tasty wines bearing the Mon Ami label. And both Mon Ami and Firelands get their grapes from the same vineyards, and Claudio does double duty, blending wines for both labels, as well as 2 others sold in Ohio. I told you, he's a busy guy. While admittedly Claudio saves the best grapes for Firelands, the Mon Ami wines are great values. Wines of true fruit character, well balanced, and great with food. After dinner, we took a tour of the Mon Ami wine cellars located several floors below the winery. Here, giant casks which used to store the winery's products still stand. And legend has it that there is a ghost about as well. Look closely. You might see more than the wine spirits. The second day of our adventure brought us to the Firelands Winery, where Claudio gave us a tour of the facilities. This is a very busy winery, the second largest in the state, but quality is still a high priority, as is that hands-on touch. The day of our visit, workers were busy bottling Catawba for yet another label owned by the winery. After a look at the production facilities, it was time to head down to the cellar for some barrel tasting. I must admit that there is nothing quite like barrel tasting. It tells you so much about the wine, the winemaker, and the product to come. Our first taste, Claudio's pride and joy, the 1999 Gewürztraminer, which he's aging a bit in oak. Now, this is rather unusual, to say the least, but the result is luscious.
What do you think, Don?
It's very nice. It's drying out a little bit. The floral nose is really, really wonderful. It's.
It definitely has a lot more complexity already than the Gewürz that we had last night, too. You can
It's
tell
getting
the
there, so
difference.
It's a totally different
though it's only
style
been in here
in
a
a way,
short
you know. I mean, the wine were the same. I mean, you know, but you know, just put them in oak and give it that extra amount in oak, resting in oaks. They exchange with the tanning in the oak, and this is this particular barrel right here had our 1999 Chardonnay in it for about 8 months. So you know, they were used only once. So you know, but I don't think this wine here, probably in another week or so, we're going to remove it. I'm going to pump it out of these barrels and we're going to bottle it. We like to, you know, give to our customers, you know, another look what this variety can do. You know, you can drink also Gewürztraminer in a drier style with a little more oak complexity and so forth.
I like this.
and, you know, with the oaking, actually, you could almost interchange with a Chardonnay for a lot of meal suggestions like it, because it will pair very nicely. For people who've never had wine in this style, it is unique, and it's that complexity you do get from the oak. You'll easily substitute for Chardonnay.
Yeah, I think that is more like closer to an Alsace style, you know, more a drier style, you know. A lot of the Gewürz that are sold in the United States are sweet.
Yes.
The West Coast Gewürz are sweet. And our Gewürz have about 2% residual. This is going to be as dry as you taste it right here. I don't, you know. And so let's see what the customer, our customers, you know, are going to react to this. Sure. See what their reaction is, and we hope it's going to be a good reaction because we like to do something like this.
Yeah,
you know,
I think so.
It will. I think it'll go over it quite well.
Very nice.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, what we try here right now is a 1998 Cabernet Sauvignon. This has been in barrel for over a year right now. This probably's got another 6 months to go before it's ready to be pulled out and blended all together in one tank. Every single barrel has individual pluses and minuses, good and bad. And when we put them together in a tank, you know, everything, you know, blends it and gives the best and comes together. That's right. I couldn't find. This is a 98, please.
Ladies first this time.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pretty color.
It's a nice ruby color.
Definitely Cabernet.
98 was a very good vintage for us. I mean, the fruit mature early, and we had a good fermentation, a hot fermentation. We extracted tannin with the color. By the way, this wine has been through malolactic, 100% completed, and it's time to rest, you know, to get ready.
That's a nice nose. Just a little bit of the smoky little peppery and raspberries. Lots of raspberries is what I smell.
And a little bit of tannin to smooth off there.
The tanning is there. It's still, as you can, as I said before, it has a few more months to go here. You know, to soften them a little bit more. We are looking probably by January or February of next year, we're going to remove them out. I mean, you know, pump it out of here, and but it's got a good potential.
We also sampled the 1999 Cabernet Sauvignon, which Claudio sent to the steel tanks after the oak. Big, bold, berry, cherry flavors and well-structured tannins. This is going to be a tremendous wine in a few years. The tasting room at Firelands is family-friendly. Kids get some grape juice, adults get to sample the wines. Visitors get a better understanding of what the true art of winemaking is all about. Farming, chemistry, climate, and passion.